It's been 1 month since the worst terror attack on Israel, and they've split Gaza into two. Will hospitals be targeted? Will schools and mosques be targeted? When I put that question to the IDF and to Israeli government officials, they say the bombing of Gaza Strip will not stop. Israel is very clear. It's been 1 month since the 7th of October, the worst terror attack on Israel. And Israel is very clear. They have an aim, and that aim is Hamas-free Gaza. They intend carrying this aim to its logical conclusion. At least phase 1, get rid of Hamas from Gaza. Phase 2 is destroy Hamas leadership wherever they are. How are they fulfilling it? They're pounding the Gaza Strip. And Palestinian authorities say the death toll is close to 10,000, a third being children. Israel says these figures are highly exaggerated. They say even when Hamas claimed, or when authorities in the Gaza Strip claimed that 500 people had been massacred in an Israeli missile strike at a hospital, it was far from truth. It was far from the truth. There was a strike at that hospital, but it wasn't an Israeli missile. It was a Gazan rocket that misfired and fell close to that hospital. There were deaths, but according to Israel, most figures that came out from intelligence agencies from different parts of the world were much, much less than the claimed 500. So they're saying these figures of 10,000, Israel does not believe it. They say it's been 1 month since the worst terror attack on Israel. It's been 1 month since approximately 250 people were taken hostage by Hamas. And for the bombing to stop, the hostages need to be returned forthwith. So the attack took place on the 7th of October. I reached Israel on the 8th of October. I remember meeting people and hearing stories of unparalleled valor. For example, this father, he received this message from his daughter. His daughter was at that Nova Music Festival at Reem, and he received a message that there was firing and the daughter was in trouble. He just got into his car and rushed towards the southern part of the country, and it's a good 2-hour long drive. And this father, a police officer himself, he didn't bother. He didn't bother about the rockets that were coming in. He didn't bother that there were thousands of Hamas terrorists who'd infiltrated into his country. He had one aim. His one aim was to save his daughter. And there were many such instances. I met soldiers who were on leave. They were not there. They just heard there'd been a terror attack and they rushed towards the southern Israeli border, and they rushed with whatever. They had their automatic rifles. They picked up their rifles. If they had little ammunition, whatever little ammunition they had at home or wherever they could pick up ammunition, they just picked up that ammunition and rushed. And I know of instances, and I've heard of stories of these young women, 21-year-old, 22-year-old reservist soldiers in the IDF. 6:30 in the morning, if you're in your house or if you're, with friends after a pajama party, in their pajamas, they ran out with their assault rifles, with their bullets, with whatever ammunition they had, and they fired last man, last round, last woman, last round, and then they engaged with these Hamas terrorists in unarmed combat. Many were killed in the line of fire, many sadly taken hostage. These stories are now spurring that entire country. I interviewed one of the spokespersons of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I interviewed some members of parliament at the parliament in Jerusalem, and they were very clear. They are very angry with Benjamin Netanyahu. They're very angry with their armed forces and intelligence agencies, but they're saying we'll leave that for another day. Right now, our country is under attack. And as one people, we will fight Hamas. That's an existential threat as far as Israel is concerned. What's the situation right now? Hamas or authorities in Gaza, according to Israel, say that 10,000 people have been killed. Israel says we've encircled Gaza city. 1 month it took them. And they've split Gaza into two. There's North Gaza, virtually now in Israel's control, and South Gaza, where they're pushing Everyone, anyone who stays in North Gaza beyond this point, it will be treated as hostile. Some people, and there was a report that came out today that some civilians could not go. They sought some more time. So Israel says we've given them additional time. We've created another window. There was a situation where people were permitted to go towards the south out of harm's way. There's a humanitarian corridor that's been created for people to go south. However, if Hamas is using civilians as a shield, will hospitals be targeted? Will schools and mosques be targeted? Or churches be targeted? Or playgrounds be targeted? When I put that question to the IDF and to Israeli government officials, they say, we will not tell you what our target will be in future, but we will not spare Hamas. It's for civilians there to realize that they should get out of harm's way for Israeli forces to target Hamas. That they're very clear about. I saw the Israeli advance initially. We were amongst the first to go beyond Sderot, closer to the Gaza Strip, to the fence. And then they did not permit any journalists beyond that point. So it's not just the Markava tanks and the Nagmash and the Namirs, their namers, the armored fighting vehicles. It's also those huge caterpillar bulldozers, they're excavators, and they're bulletproof from all sides. They have shields and protective shields from all sides. And they're going right into the heart of the battle. Some engineer officers and soldiers have also made the supreme sacrifice of their lives in this operation. Because how does this operation work? They clear anti-tank mines, they clear all the booby traps and the anti-personnel mines. Then the tanks, they fire directly at Hamas strongholds. You have the Apache helicopters, which means Israel is fairly confident that there is no anti-aircraft surface-to-air missiles that Hamas has ready access to, because there's a lot of air-to-ground assault that's also taking place. Of course, the F-15s and the F-16s, they are at a standoff distance of 20 kilometers away from the battle zone. And as far as it's the drones, it's the Heron's drone, Heron TP, the extended range drones. They can loiter for about 36 hours at high altitudes, and then they paint a target. They ping a target. The moment the laser marks the target, the F-16s fire or the F-15s fire the PGMs, precision guided munition, and the target is destroyed. You can even see the missiles now as Israel during day and night is pounding the Gaza Strip. And they say 1,400 people were killed. 1,400. 250 are being held hostage. Their aim is clear. You want the bombing to stop? Return the hostages. As a goodwill gesture, they did stop pounding for some time, but initially 2 American hostages were returned, then 2 more hostages were returned. There are close to 250. They say return all, pounding will stop. But the hunt for Hamas will not. They're all pounding the Gaza Strip from one side to destroy Hamas. Incidentally, even at West Bank, where I reported from on a Friday when tensions were really high, there are several sleeper cells of Hamas, active terrorists of Hamas, who are being taken out even at the West Bank. But there is anger, pain and anguish both at Gaza Strip and at the West Bank. And this is a fight that goes back a long time. There are no easy solutions. At the West Bank, I spoke to some young doctors and paramedics and some scholars, some students. They were a part of the Friday protest, and it's an unequal battle. So you had youngsters wearing masks with slingshots, trying to target a settlement protected by high walls and fences and perimeter fences and Israeli bulletproof vehicles. And they would throw those slingshots in the direction of the wall or the Israeli forces. And the Israeli forces would carefully take aim, rubber bullets, tear gas shells, and target these students or these protesters or the youth. And it was so well planned, it's been going on for such a long time, that ambulances would be on standby. The ambulances would rush in, pick up the injured student or protester and rush them to the nearest hospital. What's the road ahead? 2 aims: secure the release of all the hostages safely and as quickly as possible, and ensure that there is a ceasefire. Every side ultimately will have to come to the talks table and they will have to find a peaceful negotiated settlement. But for that, the hostages will have to be released first. And to create a conducive environment for talks, release hostages, stop bombing, and talk to find a solution. We'll track that story very closely. Many thanks for watching.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.